right? I have a song with because I'm sorry, I'm skipping to my album. After Kaya was so successful, you know, I was doing all the live recordings. I sent a copy of it to Mike Martin. I got a record deal with Columbia Records and released In the Lab the Live album. Right? Put Ludacris on it before he got a deal, etc.
But don't just slide over that.
Sure.
How did you get the record deal? What was that like? Was that something that you was looking for at the time?
I've been wanting a record deal ever since I started with Kriss Kross in '92, and I met Mike and I got introduced to, you know, really what happens when you make records, especially a hit, and what that means for you. So I want to be a record deal bad. And it just, you know, the thing with me and records and performing on records as a DJ, scratching on records, which I totally love. I love that.
But wait a minute, hold up, Nabs. You're talking about you got a record deal as a DJ back in the '90s.
'98.
That wasn't the thing to do for DJs at that time. So how the hell did you pull that off? I mean, the other Drummer got him later on. You know, DJ Khaled got him later on.
Right.
But you know, if Nabs is blazing this trail, how are you formulating this blueprint, sir?
I'm following blueprints. Okay. I'm following Marley Marl, you know, the '80s guys. Marley Marl, Red Alert. These guys all had compilations.
Okay.
Mr. Magic, you know.
Okay.
And so that's why it was a dream. That's why I already knew it could happen.
Okay.
But many years before Drama, many years before Khaled.
You brought it down here to the South.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just doing my thing, y'all.
Okay. It's all in the realm of you just doing your thing.
I'm doing my thing, y'all. Listen, I'm blessed and highly favored, and y'all don't know that. That's what's going on. And I'm 10 toes down with the craft.
Yeah.
And I don't falter, you know. So
when you got that deal, how was that whole experience when you signed that contract and it was time for you to put the project together? How did we go about doing all that stuff?
Well, my project was different because it was a live mixtape, and so we recording every Sunday at Kaya. I made a compilation CD, sent it to Michael, got a deal. The idea was to do a series of them.
Ooh.
The issue was sample clearance. That's all my album was.
Yeah.
Other records, we went in the studio, made a few records, but we still used samples to keep it old school feeling, the feeling. So it took a year to clear the album. So I really got the deal either in 97, I probably got the deal. The album came out in November '98. So that was the big issue, the sample clearance. So it was a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But it finally came out, thank God, international. And I say that because to this day, even on Instagram, there are kids in Japan that particularly love the Big Daddy Kane live performance on the album, and that's kind of what I see that still gets run on that side. It's like an 8-minute performance, him performing live, and these kids from Japan are breakdancing in the middle of a square and tagging me on Instagram for my album. You feel me? So you never know where things can go. Because at the time, I got the deal, I got the money, I bought the house, and I kept it moving. I'm still 7 days a week rolling. This is just an album deal. I still got Kaya. I'm still on the air 6 days a week. I'm still traveling with So Def. 1998, when Jermaine's Life in 1472 came out, Money Anything, I'm DJing for Jermaine. We doing all the TV shows. I'm working. I don't know nothing but this until probably 2019, just before that pandemic. I have not relaxed until then. So it was 30-something years of just grind.
I hear you speak of, touring with Kriss Kross and Michael Jackson. It's cute when I hear you speak of it, but when I watch the documentary and I see the crowds, and I'm like, okay, it's like you in an abyss of people it's 100,000 folks, man.
Yeah.
What was that experience like when you get up there and you're rocking the crowd and controlling that atmosphere?
Back then, which was 92, when that opportunity to tour with Michael Jackson on the Dangerous Tour came, I was still young. Chris and Chris were 13 going on 14. I was 22, 23. Jermaine was maybe 16, 17. And my experience at that time was Club Excess.
Yeah.
I went from Club Excess, Sandcastle and Stone Mountain, and then the Criss Cross tour. So I was okay on the mic in the club.
So wait a minute, you went from a club to stadiums?
From club to stadiums. I was doing B103s, whatever the rap show was at the time. I was in those clubs. I was in the National Guard, 116th Army National Guard unit, playing saxophone. That got me through college in Morris Brown.
That's right.
And I was doing all that until the Criss Cross opportunity came. The big thing was getting out the National Guard.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, because I still had another year and a half.
Ooh.
So they let me
You
go.
didn't go AWOL. Okay.
No. I got that proper release.
Okay.
So I guess I'm saying that to say that was the backstory to going and all of a sudden being on stage and having to be the one to control the show. Because again, I didn't know Kriss and Kross like that. That's not, they were young. I didn't know them. So this was a job. I got to know them on the road.
Yeah.
But I had to go and do that first show and handle that mic. We had a 45-minute show, and technically we had, jump, warm it up.
Yeah.
I missed the bus, but 45 minutes, we had to do the whole album, the whole entire Criss Cross album to fill the slot, and I did a 15-minute break every show. And so I had to get on that mic and I had to run that crowd. And that was the first time I really did it.
Your mind, though, Nabs, how did that impact your mind being in front of all of those people, seeing them going crazy and you just going in?
Well, the process is this. The show starts, you're nervous. I'm not looking at them like that. I'm not about to look out there.
You're looking at the turntable.
I'm down here on the turntables. And once it gets going, somewhere around midway, I feel a little bit more comfortable, that the show's going. And with the Criss Cross show, I used 3 things to play the music. There was a DAT machine on the side. You had to press play and wait a half a second for it to play.
Yeah.
That was the majority of the album. I played Warm It Up from vinyl.
Yeah.
So it could have skipped. Never jumped. I played Jump from the drum machine.
Yeah.
Which meant it was uncompressed, very raw. And when people listen to Jump, they don't think of it as a stadium record per se, because you're looking on your phone on the internet. Jump has an 808 drop. Boom, jump, jump, boom, jump. Every sound check, I had Michael Jackson's engineers back there like, hold on, we got to figure out how to suppress that 808 that Jermaine put in that track.
Yeah.
So Jump is a stadium record, so everybody, get the kitty mess out your mind.
Exactly.
That record is a monster. That's why it's still a monster to this day.
Exactly.
And then even kids, when children today see kids jumping, it's the same effect.
Exactly.
So what was happening, what was created with Criss Cross is something immortal. Okay, and I was a part of that, and I'm not gonna let them just be dismissed as just a kiddie act that didn't mean nothing in Atlanta. Nobody cared about Atlanta before Criss Cross, TLC, tag team, that '92 era. It didn't take Outkast for Atlanta to get recognized. Criss Cross did that, and respect to Outkast, because both them guys know my support for Outkast from the beginning all the way through. So they know this to Outkast, but do not diss Criss Cross in any form or fashion about who they are and what they've done for this city.
Exactly.
And, that can go to that 50 years of hip hop and this Criss Cross Day in Atlanta, which I didn't hear nothing about. There was just a Criss Cross Day in Atlanta. And I'm in North Carolina. I don't know if Chris Smith was there. I was like, well, that's a whole nother story. 50 years of hip hop in Atlanta. We'll talk about that at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, being there with the young Chris's though, man, how did you see the industry impacting them? Because also I'm looking at these kids in that same arena right along with you, and I'm like, this got to be doing something to them too. I mean, what was it like seeing them turn from young men with boys to men?
Well,
in the midst of all of that,
I don't. That's being a child star. Got to be the toughest thing in the world. It may not be tough when it's hot, but it's gonna be tough when it's not.
Ooh.
And so, I walked with Chris Kelly through his whole life after Criss Cross.
Yeah.
So that's a story, in itself.
Yeah.
And that's why my love for him is so strong.
Yeah.
Because during the Criss Cross experience, we're all just rolling and moving and doing our thing. And I was older, so every city we went to in Europe, I'm in the club.
Yeah.
Jermaine and Chris, I don't know what they're doing necessarily. Because Jermaine wasn't a club guy in the beginning.
Yeah.
When I met Jermaine didn't even drink. Literally, the first thing Jermaine said to me at Club Excess when we met was that, because I said, you want a drink or something?
Yeah.
And he said, oh, no, I don't drink, I make beats.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay. Me, I was just moving and just enjoying it as a young man who already was in the clubs, singing in Atlanta and all that. Now I'm in Europe, and I got a Michael Jackson tour pass, and I'm getting in every spot for free.
My God.
Here you go, it's Michael Jackson.
Exactly.
Let me in now.
Come on, man. Come on.
But for, again, Chris and Chris, after the stardom went, and then you're trying to get back in the game, and then nobody's helping you. And then 2 decades go by. And a half, then we have a reunion. I'm the one to go with and got Chris Kelly.
Yeah.
I think Jermaine or somebody went and got Chris Smith.
Yeah.
And that's how that Criss Cross reunion came together, because it takes different people, because everybody hasn't talked.
Yeah.
And then after that, not long, like how we mentioned about Rico Wade, having that moment, they were celebrating, then Rico was gone. And so that's what happened with So Def 20. We had that show, and then we was prepared to move Criss Cross along and bring him back to the world, and Chris Kelly passes.
Oh, my God.
So I was like, yeah, his story, needs to be told. His story is not that he was discovered by Jermaine. They became Kriss Kross, and then had success, and then he passed away.
Yeah.
There's a whole 2 decades and a half of his story that should be told. And Chris Smith, who's still around, known as Urban Muse online, people can find him, and he can tell his own story when he get ready.